Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed and today we'll be focusing on the presidential activities of President Abdel Fattah in the past week, and more specifically which took place on Friday, the tour of President Abdel Fattah inspecting the construction works at different places of the Governorate of Cairo, more specifically Heliopolis and Nasr City and the airport area. We will be discussing the future development of the infrastructure, the economy and different sectors of the Egyptian economy during the times of the coronavirus pandemic as well. And tonight I'm honored to be having with me on Nile TV International and the Daily Debate, Engineer Ahmed Shamareka, the planning expert. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much.
We'll be starting with the top story for today and the first report of the evening, as the Egyptian Senate members took the constitutional oath on Sunday during the opening procedural session of the Upper House of Parliament. The opening session was held at the headquarters of the Shura Council in downtown Cairo. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report, so let's see it.
Following its election in August and September, the Senate on Sunday held an opening procedural meeting. The meeting was headed by Galal Hariri, co-founder of the Guardians of the Nation Party, in his capacity as the Senate's most senior member. Two young members also joined Hariri in running the opening meeting. Hariri is widely considered as the founder of the Egyptian Commandos in 1955. He co-founded the Guardians of the Nation Party in 2013. The Senate's opening meeting began with reading out a number of decrees related to the formation of the second chamber. These will include President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's two decrees on the Senate holding its opening meeting on 18th of October and the naming of 100 appointees. The decrees issued by the National Elections Authority, the NEA, on the invitation to and the results of the election of the Senate in August and September were also read out. The above procedures were followed by each of the chambers, 300 members taking the constitutional oath. Members then moved to the next step, that was electing a speaker and two deputies in a secret ballot in line with Article 4 of the Senate's law. The Senate's opening meeting was held at the headquarters of the Shura Council, which was dissolved in 2013. Once the procedural session is finished, the Senate will adjourn until a new House of Representatives is elected at the end of December. According to the country's amended constitution in 2019, a 300-seat Senate shall be elected, with 100 members to be elected via individual candidacy system, another 100 through party lists, and the remaining 100 to be appointed by the President of the Republic. The Senate's law states that the chamber's main job is purely advisory, that is proposing and studying all that can reinforce democracy, social peace, human rights and public freedoms. The Senate should be consulted on proposed amendments to the Constitution, the state's 5-year development plans, alliance and peace treaties and laws, which form an integral part of the Constitution. Statistics show that the Senate comprises 40 women, 20 by election and 20 by appointment, 13.3%. 6 members representing professional syndicates and trade unions, 2 judges, 2 cinema actors, 9 media people, 14 young people, 16 public figures and 12 chairmen of political parties.
إن المهام المنوط بها البرلمان تحتم عليه أن يكون برلمانا حرا وممثلا حقيقيا لرغبات الشعب. وعليه أن يمارس هذه المهام في سياق الممارسة الديمقراطية السليمة.
تختاروا غير الأفضل ليكم ولبلدكم.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and a number of big topics that could be tackled tonight on the Daily Debate with engineer Ahmed Shamareka. If we can start with the Senate members taking the oath today, how do you see such a step constitutionally and towards the democratic path here in Egypt, and the diversity of the members as well?
Well, I see it as a very positive step, especially that the Senate Council has been dissolved in 2013, and now it's coming back to have different segments of constitutional democracy, which allows a better platform for the needs and the objectives of the people to be heard. And I believe that the sectors and the percentages are very fair, with the women empowerment of more than 14%, the youth included, the 6 syndicates. I think it's well collaborative segments from different parts of the country that will serve very well in the coming years.
Yes, and from different professions as well. This for the Senate today took place, the events on Sunday morning. We did see a message from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during the break for the parliamentary elections for the parliament starting from the 21st and until the 25th, abroad first and inside Egypt. How do you see the messages of President al-Sisi to be voting and to be participating?
Well, I think President Fattah al-Sisi is well aware of the challenges that meet the elections, especially when it comes to lobbyists and how the lobbying works in Egypt by taking advantage of the poor. And I think he made the message very clear to everyone that you have to select the best for your needs, and there's no other factors that should be included within your freedom of exercising your democracy as a citizen. And we hope, and we actually, all of us are very adamant to send the message across to everyone we know, everyone that we deal with every day, that go vote, because your voice will have an impact in the overall volume. And a choice has to be made in every circle, in every village, in every the constituents has to select their leader that actually voice their demands. And if otherwise is happening for any lobbying reasons, we will end up with the same regime that we had before in terms of the parliament constitutional impact on the decisions which are being made and the legislative processes.
Yes, and we do know that the parliamentary elections will be beginning for the Egyptians abroad, for the expatriates on the 21st, the 22nd and the 23rd. What is the message coming out from you to the Egyptian expatriates living abroad to be voting and participating in this election?
The expatriates, I think, right now we are facing the challenges of Corona, but we do need your voice, we do need your vote. It's very important that you go and you exercise your right of democracy and you select based on your objective assessment of who is the best candidate. And I hope that, especially abroad, people will understand the importance of the expatriates' percentages and how it impacts the overall outcome of the parliament. And I think we have a lot of well-educated, very aware, self-aware, and politically aware expatriates outside. And I'm sure we're betting on their best judgment to go to vote and to select the best for them and for their people and for their children as well.
Yes, heading to the main topic of the daily debate for tonight, the presidential activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during the month of October. Of course, we celebrate the 6th of October war victory against Israel in 1973. We have other victories now. We did see President al-Sisi in the past week witnessing the graduation of a new police academy batch, the batch of 2020. On Friday, he had an inspection tour for Cairo in general, and more specifically Heliopolis, Nasr City and the airport area. How do you see those steps regarding the infrastructure development, for example, under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past 6 or 7 years?
Well, I don't think that in Egypt we have ever experienced as first-hand, hands-on technical working on sites or working on projects. We've never experienced a president who is a better project manager. And his surprise visits to sites have made all media headlines because they actually keep people in line. And the deadlines are always met by his persistence to meet the requirements and to have the operational component, no matter what it is, whether it's a bridge, whether it's a hospital, to be operating on the deadline that he has decided and the cabinet has decided. I think it shows a great deal of engagement and a great deal of effort that him personally undertake, and how close he is to the operation level. It keeps everyone very sharp and very efficient, because you might have the president on your site at any day. So I think it's a whole
Friday.
Yeah. I think it happened before a couple of months ago as well, when there was an incident where the resident engineer of the site was not available, and it was a big fight. And I think everyone now knows you need to stay on your desk, you need to come on your time, you need to do your job right, otherwise you might not have your project manager or your company giving you the penalties, but the president himself. I think it's a great approach from his side, and it makes him come closer to the people, becomes more familiar with the ongoing progress that's happening on all those projects. Where rather than just having a report on his desk, he would rather see the progress firsthand.
How do you see the statement of President al-Sisi saying that building those projects, building bridges and building roads all over Egypt is not a luxury for the Egyptians, but it is a tool for investment? How do you see such a statement?
Well, the body, our human body, let me just give you a quick metaphor. The human body is consisting of a lot of organs, a skeleton, and a network of nerves and blood vessels that goes around transferring all sort of components that we use on the daily basis. If each organ is separated without having this network of nerves, of arteries, veins, that actually make the organs connected, then the body fails. So in any aspect, the infrastructure provides better accessibility, better logistics to achieve all sorts of developments. So there have been typical models for how to invest in the infrastructure of a city. Whether it starts from the toll fees on a road, or a new vein somewhere, which is being done, like what we have now in the administrative capital or the new cities. And you have the highways and there's a lot of potential to use the highways itself to generate revenue. Whether it's advertisement, whether it's you have right-of-ways where you have plots that you can use for commercial purposes, and so on and so forth. Whether it's petrol stations, and the main thing is to have a well-connected country. Any well-connected country has a huge potential to increase development at any step, and to be as flexible as possible, and this provides a good platform for end products, end results. So definitely it's on the long term, on the strategic term, it's a very good approach for the strategic overall development. And on the action, it's very important as well to have the logistics and to have all these arteries and veins connecting the city and connecting all the cities together. It provides better business, better accessibility, better circulation, and so on and so forth. So it's definitely better for the investment overall.
Yes, that's a very good metaphor to be likening the country as a human body. But we did see in the past years, new cities are being built. A new capital is being built. We do know that we have about 23 or 25 new cities that are being built right now as we speak. But how important are those cities for the neighboring areas as well, for the people living outside those cities, living nearby those new cities that are being built?
There's categories of cities. So
yes.
You have main hubs, which are like, let's say, the older hubs that we have are Cairo and Alexandria. And then you have satellite cities that serve between the hubs. And you have industrial cities, and you have cities which are based on economical activities.
Yes.
So New Dumyat is based on an economic activity. And New Suez is based on economic activity, and so on and so forth. Now, each city serves the citizens or the inhabitants of the original city that we're living in. Now, we're having deteriorating old infrastructure in those cities. We need to move the people and renovate and then start reselling.
Yes.
And this actually provides a great outcome as a strategic plan, in order that this city will eventually amalgamate and it will merge with the old city, and it will all become one cluster that provides a specific economic, that's actually is based on a specific economical activity. So for instance, you're working on furniture, you have old Dumyat and new Dumyat. The new Dumyat is not being planned based only that it will stay as a standalone city. No, it's being planned as a part of the future Dumyat, as a whole part of it. And this is where the expertise of our very proficient and very well aware planners come to work in terms of economical projections and forecasts for the future. Satellite cities, for instance, they provide, labor housing for the hub cities. So today, let's say Alexandria, 40 kilometers from Alexandria, the new city of Rashid, New Rashid city, is being built, and it will provide a resource pool to work in Alexandria and start expanding in order to the urban sprawl to connect at the end. Now, you're talking about 40 minutes drive with your car from the satellite new city to Alexandria, which is the hub, in order to work on all aspects in terms of industry, in terms of business, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of commercial, whatever it is that you're working on. Even if you're going to school, if you're even going to go to Alexandria University, you can just drive 40.
Not a long distance.
Not a long distance. And this is how the interim connections between the cities occur on a wider strategic level for the whole nation. And it's definitely helped in the decentralization, because we have a huge problem caused by the centralization of the public and the population in Cairo and Alexandria. Now we need to decentralize, we need to disperse again, so that you would have the services, you would have the facilities,
and the same standards.
And you would have the same standards, that you don't need to do illegal immigration to one of the hub cities.
Yes.
You can just stay at your city where your roots are, your culture is, and everything. And even your business, you don't have to come to the new city in order to go to the new good hospitals, or to have good education, or to have, because this is the reason of centralization. So mainly it's just reversing the decentralization that we've suffered from on the course of the past 4 decades, and in order to connect the hub cities with having interim satellite cities, so that they provide better logistics, better resources, more efficient connectivity.
One of the sectors that could be needing more roads, and we are having more roads now, and could be affected in the future by the development in infrastructure that we can be seeing nowadays, is tourism here in Egypt, as we can be seeing new roads being built, especially between the Grand Egyptian Museum, for example, and the pyramids. We can see those roads being built right now. We can see new roads and bridges leading to touristic sites all over Egypt. How do you see the importance of tourism needing those infrastructure developments?
Well, as I mentioned before, that tourism is one of the sectors that will benefit greatly from the new infrastructure, especially when it comes to roads, having quick accessibility, having not to go through the hassle of crowded areas or having to go through the old cities in order to reach your destination. And it provides an infrastructure base foundation in order to even expand in the mobility types. So, for instance, today we're looking at upgrading the tram, the Raml tram in Alexandria.
Yes.
Now they were looking at monorails, and this is actually bringing us to the level of other countries that have way less history than us, way less actual museums and actual monuments and artifacts, but they are actually really they come to the appetite of the tourist because it's easy to reach,
and they have good marketing,
but it's easy to reach. So today, if you're telling me Paris Underground connects the whole city together in a way which is magnificent. If you've ever visited, or anyone would visit, will see that. You go from point A, point B, anywhere in the city, just below the surface, below the ground, it's connected everywhere. And you go up, you're finished. You're done. You want to see this, you want to see that. So it provides a huge strength to all the touristic sightseeing and all the touristic places, and it provides a better accessibility, which in return provides good traffic, which in return provides good revenues. So if I have a museum today which is being accessed by 1,000 per day visitors, when I have a good infrastructure coming from different parts of the city, I might take it up to 2,000, 3,000.
Because it's easy to reach.
It's easy to reach. It's not a hassle. And when I'm a tourist, I don't want to think about taking this or taking that, going through the city. Oh, look at this. This is very crowded. This is jammed. The traffic is insane, so I don't want to go through this.
So that's the plan that we have here in Egypt.
Definitely. When it comes to the gem, the Great Egyptian Museum,
yes,
this is a landmark piece where since 1902, since Abbas Helmi Thani, we didn't. That one was the original Egyptian Museum had been established in Tahrir Square, and it was the first piece before even. There was only the parts of the downtown, which was done by Khedeo Ismail, and then came the museum, and everything was just sand. There was only desert, and even the branch of the Nile was going below the 6th of October bridge at this area. Now look at it today. This is called a landmark piece, where you build around it a whole area, a region. So what's currently happening for the new Egyptian Museum is in order to make sure that you can access it from anywhere in the city, especially working with the complementary hospitality services, which are hotels around the city. Which I'm coming from the airport, you have the Sphinx Airport now, this serves that if you're coming to see the great monuments in the Egyptian Museum, You can reach it in the easiest way possible, in the most comfortable way, and it will make you come again and again, and it will make you recommend it to other people, and the word of mouth will work. And this is actually a very smart way, a very sustainable way, especially when you're having something as significant as the new Egyptian Museum.
Yes, before heading to the second top story for tonight, I have the final question regarding the infrastructure and the development in this sector. Egypt, under President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, had this plan in 2014 to be having more kilometers of roads, as we had only 24,000 kilometers of roads in 2014. What are the numbers nowadays, and what is the target for 2030?
I think the latest number that I came across were that we're looking at 32,000, and that's a great achievement because that means we increased around 7,000 kilometers in a matter of 6 years. The coming years, it's not really about the kilometers, rather than, it's not just dumping asphalt, it's rather than providing better ways to be around the city. So if you're looking at the ring road, the old ring road is a nightmare to all of us. Let's be clear about it. The new regional ring road provides a huge accessibility. I know people working in Abu Rawash on 6th of October, like in the car shops, car dealer shops and everything. And they live in Heliopolis. They used to
it's like the other side of the planet.
Yeah, on the other side of the planet, exactly. They used to spend 2.5 hours to 3 hours daily away from their family.
On the road.
On the road. Their health is deteriorating, the pollution and all these sort of problems, they stress, and so on and so forth. And they're not being actually productive, because you can use the 3 hours to produce something, or you can use it just standing. Now they take the new Daba road, Road al-Farag bridge, in 23 minutes, 24 minutes. They all have the memberships for the toll gate, and they could not be happier. They take half an hour, non-stop. And that's the objective. And the president and the cabinet, when they came on board, they were well aware of the issues of the circulations and the issues of how we connect the whole city together in order to have overall better macro production in all aspects. So we're looking, maybe we might reach 40,000, we might stand by 35,000. It depends on the need, it depends on the requirement. And I think now we have a huge experience on how to do high-end roads with a cutting-edge technology.
And even renovating the old ones.
And renovating the old ones, definitely, because you want to maintain an overall image to the visitors specifically. We're suffering now from the tourism greatly because of the corona that impacted,
the whole world.
Impacted all the sectors and the whole world, but it's one of our great economical sectors, and it's been and it will always be. And when it comes back, we want to be in another place on the map of tourism in the world that people would say, we go to Paris, go to London, or go to Cairo. That's the target.
Yes, and we will be focusing as well on the economic growth of Egypt during the times of the coronavirus pandemic. But we have the second top story for tonight, and it comes from the world of economy and planning. The Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Hala Al-Said, held an expanded video conference seminar with the representatives from 70 French companies to discuss the investment opportunities in the Egyptian economy during the post-pandemic era. The French ambassador to Cairo, Stéphane Ramate, participated in the seminar, saying that this is the right time to invest in Egypt and discuss all the available opportunities. Egypt is currently witnessing rapid changes and high growth despite the current challenges, as he added. We have more information about this seminar and the repercussions and the opportunities that the French ambassador is talking about in the upcoming report. So let's see it.
Minister of Planning and Economic Development Dr. Helal Said held an expanded seminar via video conference with representatives of 70 French companies to discuss expectations and opportunities in the Egyptian economy in the post-corona pandemic era. The seminar also witnessed the presence of the French ambassador in Cairo, head of the General Authority for the Suez Canal Economic Zone, Yahya Zaki, and Egypt's Sovereign Wealth Fund, Ayman Suleiman. During the meeting, El Said said that Egypt is proud of the cooperation with the French side in various fields and at all levels, noting the importance of France's role in working to achieve sustainable development goals in several countries around the world, appreciating the French role in supporting Egypt in this field. Said referred to the role played by the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development in working to achieve investment plans of the Egyptian government, explaining that the ministry is preparing development plans that are consistent with Egypt's Vision 2030. Moreover, she noted that the government is working on preparing annual development plans and supervising the distribution of public investments in various sectors of the state and ministries. El Said indicated that the Egyptian economy was in good condition before the start of the corona crisis, as growth rate of 5.6% was achieved by the end of 2019. El Said added that in the absence of the corona pandemic, a growth rate of 6% would have been achieved during the current year. Said pointed out that despite the negative impact of corona pandemic, Egypt achieved growth after the state intervened to support several sectors affected by the crisis, noting that the economic and social reform program that the Egyptian state initiated during 2016 effectively contributed to the state's bearing of the consequences. El Said said the expectations of international institutions indicated that Egypt will be one of the economies that will be able to face negative consequences of corona crisis and will provide the best performance despite the crisis compared to other economies in the Middle East and among emerging economies. She added that during the meeting, the Egyptian state also provided support for irregular employment in the form of monthly grant, which was decided to extend its disbursement for an additional 3 months, noting that many sectors have maintained good performance rates during the corona pandemic, as agriculture and communications sector. El Said said that corona crisis showed many opportunities in addition to challenges, as the pandemic prompted the Egyptian state to pay more attention to achieving the transition to a green economy, stressing that the state also seeks to strengthen value-added chains and localize industry. She highlighted that the Egyptian state is working to achieve structural reforms in various sectors. On cooperation with the French side, El Said said that Egypt is seeking with interest to achieve fruitful cooperation in the field of investment with the French side in various sectors, noting that Egypt opens the door for various French companies to start pumping investments and rely on the enormous resources that the country enjoys, on top of which is skilled labor. France's ambassador to Cairo, Stephen Romatat, emphasized that it is the right time to invest in Egypt and discuss all opportunities available to it, noting that Egypt is currently witnessing rapid changes and high growth despite current challenges. The French ambassador praised relations between Egypt and France, which are the highest positive levels, explaining that more than 160 French companies are operating in Egypt.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and that was a report about the seminar held between the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Dr. Helal Said, and the representatives of more than 70 companies from France, with the attendance or with the statements made by the French ambassador to Egypt, Stéphane Romatet. Engineer Ahmed Shamareka, one of the statements made by the ambassador of France to Egypt is that this is the perfect time to be investing in Egypt. How do you see those statements coming from the French ambassador at this time?
Well, I will go back to the statements. I would just like to take the opportunity to commend and praise all the women empowerment in the cabinet right now, because it's such a fresh outlook. We have Dr. Helal Said, Dr. Hala Zayed, Dr. Rania Mashat, and a lot more.
Yeah.
And Maya Morsi on the cabinet for the council, the Women Council, the National Women Council, and they're doing a great job. We cannot even repay them for how much they're working, especially in more of our masculinist culture.
Yes.
Going back to the statements, this is the right time to start investing in Egypt because currently economists all around the world, they are aware, and all the political leadership and everywhere, they are aware of the impact that the corona caused to the whole world. Now, it's about who's going to survive, who needs a great deal of help very quickly, and who will flourish after that. We come in the middle. And I think we've discussed this previously on another interview where I told you we're going to take the hit. The whole world took the hit very harshly. No one was expecting this amount. The GDPs around the world have dropped more than 2008 crisis. I think the numbers indicate that even in Egypt, we were reaching to 5.6% in the first quarter of 2020. The forecast for us at the end or by the beginning of 2021 is 3%. Now we were heading to 6%. Now we're heading to 3%. However, the forecast of the upcoming after the coronavirus is that we are one of the countries that will be able to cruise by, will be able to survive. We're going to have a hardship, we're going to have an impact on the economics, but now it's the right time while the curve is in the valley, which is going down, to invest, because when it picks up, going up the peak, the revenues will be very promising.
Yes.
So the Agency Française, or the French Agency for Development, has always been a strong arm for the EU, the European Union, to provide funds for development projects in Egypt. And the 17 million euros, that's just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg that's coming in our collaboration with France. There are certain industries which are looked at right now, specifically agriculture, and I think chemicals, which are being looked at right now, in order for the French investors to come in and start investing in it. I believe more collaborations of that sort with strong economies will take us by 2021. 2021 will be the year that we start experiencing the blow that happened from 2020 coronavirus. So as much as we want this year to end, as much as we are expecting that 2021 is not going to be a simple task. But definitely Stéphane Romere, he knows the Egyptian. There are 160 companies operating. There are 70 CEOs were sitting in this meeting, and they're going to have a huge part in the equity that will be dispersed in order to upgrade the infrastructure and work on the development, the upbringing of the development projects.
How do you see the mutual cooperation between Egypt and France in trade and in the economy in general under President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's tenure during the past 6 or 7 years and under this cabinet in specific?
Well, I think it started with, again, our women empowerment, because I had it like the French, the main statement, the main mission statement for Macron was the female empowerment. And the economic reform based on having a female empowerment. And we did a great deal of this. And let me be clear to everyone who might be watching us. There's a difference between, there's countries around us and around the world during the crisis, they sacrificed the employed public, which are based, their economies not deep enough, not strong enough, which are based on debt and equity sort of relationship with the banks and so on, going all around the world, and especially to the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere to China. President Fattah Sisi and the cabinet took a decision and took upon themselves that we will have relief payments for the non-regular employed. Yes. Because we have a lot of non-regular employed people around Egypt.
£500.
Yeah, for 3 months, and then it was extended.
Yes.
The other thing was, which hit a lot of the companies and a lot of the sectors, was women, because women were subjected to carry the virus to their little ones. And that's why the maternity leaves paid were provided at high level in order to maintain a good health standard for those women. And by taking those action, you make political statements. And those political statements were right at the alley of the French President Jean Macron when he is Emmanuel Macron when he's it's usually Jean or Emmanuel, so I just get very confused. So Emmanuel Macron, that women empowerment and the economic reform, and I think Dr. Hala Said capitalized on this in the best political way ever in terms of collaboration with France specifically for the current time. They support we have a huge history with them, and they support our mission, and they support the way the political regime is operating with the public, because they care about the human rights, they care about actually developing countries that are not only providing a good platform for investments. We can talk like this maybe in the UAE, in the Gulf area, or whatever it is, even the KSA, but in Egypt, it goes deeper than this. It goes to the aspect of human rights. And what President Fattah Sisi and the cabinet and all the people working in all authorities and councils have done has proven that the Egyptian citizen comes before the economy, which is a great thing. It's a great time for us to be living finally in an era where
and even we did see aid being sent out to the countries all over the world, one of them Italy, the United States and China during the coronavirus pandemic times.
Well, that takes us to the part of the segment where it was discussing, I guess, the localization
of industries.
The localization of industries and the value-added chain.
Yes.
And especially the value-added chain. Why? Because they both work hand in hand. We need to have value-added chain. The value-added taxes are not the purpose in order to suffocate the
and collect money.
The business owner. No, they're more oriented to enhance the procurements and the use of local products. So the value-added chain is very, very critical in order to enhance our economy. And it comes hand in hand with the industrial expansion that we have spoken about before, in terms of providing the whole economy chain with all sorts of products. And this, at the end, overarches the sustainable development that the Agence Française Development or the FDA or the EU in general usually promotes.
Where do you see the investment opportunities for the French businessmen and for the other businessmen coming from all over the world in Egypt right now?
Mainly agriculture and chemicals, pharmaceuticals, but mainly agriculture. We're going back to the agriculture strongly. Agriculture sector is flourishing. But let me be clear that we were in the GDP history. Our average was $85 billion, starting from 1962. 1962 was our lowest, was $4 billion. 2016 was our highest, with $332 billion. 2016, the first year of President Fattah Sisi, was the ultimate. The target we were going to is 6%, which means that we have projections showing a very strong economy. So we're not like we were working on an agenda for two years. No, we're working on an agenda in a 4-year, 10-year. that started showing real progress, real positive outcomes. And that's why not only the French are coming in support and investments, but even the IMF has provided us with 12 months standby, $4.2 billion as an enhancement to the economy, as a relief that has been working to all the members in the IMF, as a relief fund for Egypt, because all the projections say that we have a strong economy that's going to flourish after this coronavirus have stable. The period which is going to take 2020 and let's say to the third quarter of 2021. We hopefully hope so. Yeah.
Yes. So we did see positive signs for the Egyptian economy during the times of the coronavirus pandemic. You expect us to be doing better than a lot of other countries, other developed countries all over the world economically. How do you see the economic reform program that was implemented in the past years helping Egypt during the times of the coronavirus pandemic right now?
I think one of the points that Dr. Hala mentioned was the 2021 plan for value added, and that's one we mentioned, but the 2030 plan update, because the 2030 vision for disbursement will go on different aspects. Like sectors, we will start seeing sectors like real estate development that will go a little bit down, and sectors like agriculture and industry in general that will start rising up. I believe the 2030 plan and the 2050 vision, both of them, have laid the foundational work in order for us to be able to survive a catastrophe as the pandemic. But let's be objective, nobody was expecting this. Because this is not like looking at a chart or looking at a history and saying, well,
this
based on the forecast and the assessment. Nobody in the world expected the corona to come and to spread in this way, and that the whole world have issues with finding a vaccine and things trolling and just keep on going until the end of the year. So definitely there will be some changes in the directions, maybe a little bit going more to the healthcare, maybe a little bit going more to the pharmaceuticals in order to enhance. But the 2030 vision, 2030 plan is flexible enough to absorb the new budget allocations, which is Dr. Hala Said's main task, and monitoring said budgets once they're dispersed. Whether it's money coming from relief funds, whether it's collaborations with other countries like France, and how they channel into the economy and start showing very positive projections according to the plan.
Yes, and finally, of course, we are in the month of October. As I said in the beginning, we are celebrating the 6th of October. During this month, the war victory against Israel in 1973. We did see on Thursday President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi witnessing the graduation of the 2020 batch of the Police Academy. What are your messages to the Egyptian people celebrating the 6th of October, and for the Egyptian army and the police as well?
Oh, that's a very political question. Okay. Well, I think the armed forces and the police new batch are definitely working to betterment the experiences that we had previously with the executive personnel in the streets and everywhere. I think President Fattah al-Sisi is very keen to make a message clear to the Egyptian public that our dignity as a country has always been a priority. And we see right now from the exercises of sister countries, yes, that the public is running after a cultural debate with, they're just giving up ideologies, giving up certain principles, And whilst we had peace with Israel or with Israel as such, we now have a different ideology in terms of that collaboration around the region for the peaceful region is the most important objective. And
yes, Engineer Ahmed Shamareka, the planning expert, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you very much.
And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching and goodbye.